Hello and greetings, fellow StarCrafters. PGL Mildcraft here with game number 3 between the green Protoss player Monchi up here in the upper left-hand corner, and his opponent is going to be none other than roxkisSlivko over here in the bottom right-hand corner. Their colors have remained the same: teal versus green, almost two shades of green. To a certain extent, I don't know. I like to think of teal as a little bit more blue. Some people a little bit blue-green. I don't know. Regardless, they are going to be battling. This map is in fact Bel'Shir Beach. Those of you who don't know, it's seen as a somewhat Zerg favored map, actually, basically because of how hard it is to kind of defend both angles. As there are two angles of attack right here, and there are a bunch of different areas that the Zerg player can run by. Not really anything a Protoss player can do about it, and also, good thing he let him surround his army. I guess he's saying from the previous game, of course, that he did in fact lose. I'm not sure if that's really BMing or anything. I don't think he's saying that like Slivko was bad or something. Monchi is just saying that he wasn't playing particularly well in that game, and I can sort of second that. And over here, by the way, this expansion is very hard for the Protoss player to kind of take and hold, as it's so easy to attack from these two angles right here, and kind of hard to defend with your main army. There's not really that many areas to really defend it particularly well, which is why Bel'Shir Beach is in fact so hard for Protoss players and Terran players as well, actually. Slivko is going to be getting that pool first against Protoss players. It's very hard to go hatch first because of the fact that that probe is there, able to block the hatchery. Basically not something Zerg players are really able to do at all in these sorts of situations. Most Zerg players have given up on going for hatch first against Protoss players in general. And it looks like there's going to be a Nexus first from Monchi, so his new expansion will be going down sooner than his opponent's. Let's see, what do I want to talk about? Oh yeah, so Bel'Shir Beach. It's kind of interesting because they updated the Bel'Shir Beach match with a new tile set, and it's actually now the wintry version of Bel'Shir Beach. So it's almost like a day after tomorrow version of Bel'Shir Beach, which, I don't know, was hit with, and looks like his probe is just a little bit out of space there. Again, allowing the hatchery to go down. Not quite sure why he's not opting for the pylon block, as it would be pretty effective right here, as his opponent isn't even getting, he's getting two Zerglings right now. But those Zerglings would take a while to build, and it would really delay the hatchery a good amount as well. Bad start. Not sure if roxkis is saying that for himself or if he's saying it for his opponent. Looks like Monchi thinks he's going to win anyway, regardless of a bad start. But it is the wintry version of Bel'Shir Beach. So Bel'Shir Beach is not exactly the sort of place you want to visit in the winter. It looks like it has cooled down right now. Instead of global warming, it has in fact been global cooling in Bel'Shir. So not going to be too good for them. Looks like that Overlord is going to be able to hang out for a while in that little area. Might have to move a little bit. And generally Overlords like to hang out on this little cliff right here. Of course, until the Protoss player gets like something like an Observer or even like a Void Ray to be able to spot for that. They can't lift their buildings like Terran players can in order to be able to spot flying Overlords that fly over cliffs, which I'm not really sure why Overlords are harder to spot if they're flying over a cliff, by the way. That's kind of weird. I guess they're flying higher, but they should be able to fly higher anyway. So I don't know. But anyway, that's the way it works in the game. So not going to be too much of a problem right here. Looks like this probe coming back is probably going to lay down the cybernetics core right here as his new job. And I don't think Monchi's lost that probe in any of the games so far. So that's a pretty good job on his part, keeping his probe alive. Not the biggest deal in the world. And looks like Slivko, by the way, is going to be going for the third expansion right here with a very, very, very late third gas as well, or first gas rather. Meanwhile, Monchi has opted for the standard 2 gas. Not sure if he's going to be getting a third gas or a fourth gas. It remains to be seen exactly what kind of strategy he is going to be opting for. Looks like he is getting a third gas as well, a relatively early third gas. And now this is something that these Zerg players will try to want to spot with their Overlords. Looks like the Overlord is going to go ahead and slide on over there to see exactly when his gas timing is. Looks like it is queued to move over there. Unless, yeah, that is the movement queue, but it's like so far down because it's in the bottomless cavern, which is why it looks like it's so far down. And anyway, he is going to arrive at that area and we'll be able to spot that gas right there. And that's going to allow him to kind of see exactly what kind of attack his opponent is going to be opting for. It looks like he is going for one Stargate right now. He does not have enough gas to get a second Stargate like we saw in the previous game. If I did, in fact, upload those games in the correct order, which I think I did. Pretty sure I did. It looks like he's also opted not to get a Zealot. Is that correct? That's kind of an interesting choice, as normally we see Zerg players. Jacobo left the game. Jacobo. That crazy prankster. And most Protoss players do opt to get a Zealot, actually, in order to be able to hold this off. A Sentry can do it just as well, pretty much, as Zergling Run-By isn't too effective in this sort of situation. Kind of interesting that roxkisSlivko has been opting for the same response. He is actually known as a macro player, so that would actually indicate why he's known as a macro player, as he does in fact like to build lots and lots of drones, which would indicate that he would tend to go for the third hatchery as opposed to a kind of 2-base all-in as the standard Zerg response to a Protoss Forge Fast Expand, which of course the Protoss do almost every game. Looks like we have 2 additional gateways. We should be seeing a 3rd additional gateway going down at some point pretty soon. 4 gateways after even a Stargate is very, very standard, and something that you almost always see Protoss players going for. Looks like was that the Zerg player? I think there was a Zergling moving up just to see exactly what was going on right here. This Void Ray is going to show itself and be able to take out that Overlord right there, but not before the Overlord spots the second gas. Oh, no, he's not going to move in and spot the second gas. That's actually a bit of a mistake right there by roxkisSlivko, as he does exactly want to see what kind of gases his opponent is going for. Oh, it looks like, okay, so this is going to be a straight-up Stargate with 1 Void Ray into 8 gateways, and I think it's kind of a little bit of a variation of the previous build, although I think he's actually just going to be getting, it looks like he's not going to be getting a second Void Ray, and so basically the Stargate is almost basically to throw your opponent off and get him to produce a number of spore crawlers, actually, in order to be able to defend his base, and if they overcommit to those spore crawlers or those queens, then your gateway units will be able to deal a lot of damage, especially since +1 weapons will be down at that time. Though I'm not sure how effective this is going to be, though, as if his opponent gets Burrow, that would be very difficult to make him to be able to defend his bases, actually, and as obviously you will not be having a robotics facility. And also, I'm not quite sure why I got so much gas. I guess he's going to get a lot of sentries with this push, which sort of makes sense. The sentries are very nice, but their energy actually will run out at some point. Basically, no matter how many sentries you have, you will run out of energy. The Zerg player will basically just cease engaging you until that point, as long as they do it correctly and kind of engage you in a nice manner. Especially since these sentries are warping in so late, they're really not going to have that much time to build up additional energy, and I'm not too certain that this is going to be a successful attack right here. roxkisSlivko is building a ton of attacking units right now. He does have 2 queens down here at the expansion, laying a number of creep tumors. These creep tumors will not be able to be taken out, as it does not actually have any detection, of course. And so roxkisSlivko is going to be in a very nice position right here. I want to see Monchi moving around the left side over here where there's less creep to really force the engagement on. Look at that. Very nice surround from his Zerglings right there. Some force fields are going to be okay, but however, a good amount of surface area is still there. Their additional force fields are going to prevent the rest of the Zerg forces from engaging right here. We do see a bunch of additional Zerg Roaches and Hydras, actually, kind of moving in. Not quite sure why I opted for Hydras. I think there was a bit of a bad reaction there, as Hydras don't really do too well in this sort of situation. They're pretty good in certain numbers against gateway units and do deal a lot of damage here, so that's going to be a little bit more effective at dealing with this push right here. And as the force fields run out, actually those Hydras are going to be more and more effective at dealing as much damage as possible. Of course, they do have longer range than Roaches, so they do operate better under the force field. Looks like the drones are actually being pushed right here, so it's possible Monchi is going to be able to engage, is going to be able to actually deal a lot of damage to the Zerg player right here. He has lost very few sentries, actually, if any sentries at all, as he's still at 9 sentries right there, which is very nice, as he is going to be able to regenerate the energy on those. And it looks like most likely he is going to be able to take out the Zerg's 3rd base. Not quite sure which direction he's going. It looks like he is going to go directly into the main. This Void Ray is also barely alive. Very nice job. And actually, roxkisSlivko is going to have to GG out of this game. Very nice job. It looks like I actually recorded these in the incorrect order. Hopefully I didn't give too much away from game number 2. Or from game number 3, I suppose. So you should be enjoying that, and very interesting strategy there with just the 1 Void Ray. 1 Void Ray is very nice because it allows the Zerg player to possibly overreact to it, although usually they will not really overreact to it. But on the other hand, if you keep it alive like he did barely, then it can add a lot of damage actually to your enemies, enemy's Roaches, and really deal a ton of damage there. So looks like the 8 gateway, very heavy sentry push did prove effective for Monchi in that game. Was able to take it, and Slivko was taken out, and now we move on to game number 3 for you guys, but I already casted it, so PGL Minecraft is signing off.